I'm gonna bring the fire, Prosper. Hey, welcome back to Canon for TV, people. Yes, we're gonna review the game that happened last night, depending on which day you're watching this. Tottenham versus Man City. Did you really believe Tottenham are gonna beat Man City? And we're gonna talk about where we believe that Arsenal lost the Premier League. And listen, I know there's one more game to go on Sunday, but we're gonna make this one hot, 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 hot. That you don't want to touch it. Hot, 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 hot. Brother Isaac, what's happening? Hot, hot, hot.
Hot, indeed, hot. They say that it is the hope that kills, and we were so hopeful, but it is the hope that kills. But I did not expect Tottenham to beat City. Considering the fact that City are unbeaten in 34 now. But let's get to it. We'll have more analysis.
All right, okay. Brother Prosper. Yeah. Welcome back. Welcome back again to the show, man.
Thank you. Hello, Canon Fodder family and all Arsenal fans all over the world, including all soccer fans. We accommodate everyone at Canon Fodder. We're not selective.
That's
because
it.
football is a universal, and you can't play soccer alone. You need rivals, you need the banter and everything. But did I expect us to win again? Did I expect Tottenham to win against Manchester City? Well, I knew where we were going to end up at the end of the season, right when the season was starting, but I didn't expect Tottenham to do us any favors. Like Isaac said, the last show we were together, was it Monday?
Monday.
Don't expect teams to do the bidding for you. Do your homework.
Exactly.
And let the other team make their mistakes, but do your work. Don't expect Tottenham to perform miracles against City when you failed to perform miracles against Aston Villa. That's a bigger ask than we had.
So, Brother Prosper, it looks like another season without winning the Premier League, without major trophies, man. Mikel Arteta. Where do we go from here, man?
Without a trophy, well, where do we go from here? Like Isaac said on Monday, there are a lot of positives to take from the team. No doubt about that. But positives without anything to show is all show and no go. Because nobody remembers, we went unbeaten for so many games. We did this. We had the best defense. Nobody remembers that. I can remember there was a time Barcelona was very porous, but they would score 6 goals and they would let in a lot of goals. They didn't worry about being the strongest defense. They worried about their offensive game, and they won leagues, they won trophies. And at the end of the day, it's about trophies. We don't go into the league saying we're going to win the best defense or top scoring team. No.
Before we went live, Isaac, I was just speaking to Prosper about where he thinks that we lost it throughout the whole season. And we spoke about the Aston Villa, who have just secured Champions League football for next season. They did a double over us. We drew with Fulham. There was also the Everton game, the Newcastle game. But Isaac, where can you pinpoint where you think that Arsenal, again, I know there's one more game to go on Sunday, but where do you think Arsenal lost this Premier League this season?
The 2 losses at home. We've had 2 losses at home. Man City have none. 2 losses at home. Aston Villa and West Ham. That is where we lost it. Had we even drawn those 2, we would have been level on points and top on goal difference. So the 2 losses at home for me, because going away sometimes is a tough ask. Some grounds are hostile for us, and we have some bogey teams away. But at home, we've got to make it a fortress. Everybody should be scared when coming to the Emirates. So the 2 losses at home, especially Villa, the double, we lost it there. So for me, I'll say the 2 losses at home.
Okay, okay. Do you concur, Brother Prosper? The losses at home
Yes,
cost
and
us. Mm.
yes, what Isaac is saying is very true. I mean, you have to. I don't mind losing against Manchester United. I don't mind losing against Chelsea. All I'm saying that I don't mind losing against the top five premium teams in the league. But when you lose against West Ham, when you lose against Aston Villa, and when you give away points, draws against the bottom half of the league, there were games we would have we would control the possession, especially in the first half of the season. The possession we would have, the shots on goal would have, but we were firing blanks, and the
Mm.
game would end up in a draw. Those are the games that have cost us, because if we were going into the second half with probably a 6 points or maybe a 10 points lead, which we would have had if we were serious in the first half of the league. If we're going to the second half of the league with a 10 points lead or 8 points lead against City, definitely would have had the firepower to fight. And this Aston Villa setback wouldn't have been a setback, would have been worried about, because we would have still been on top. And today would have been saying, okay, we've won the league. But those small mistakes that we take, we don't consider to be very important. That cost us at the end of the day.
But also as well, Prosper, you were saying, I think, did you say on Monday's show about we must take all the other competitions serious?
Exactly.
Gotta take it serious.
Mm-hmm. Because look here, Isaac. Even you are a teacher. You are a teacher. You understand education. You don't start feeding a child with calculus from the first grade. You start with one minus two. It can't. There's no negative. There's not something. It's the same as football. If those players most of them who've never won anything, don't know the prize that comes with winning something, the glory that comes with winning something, how do you expect them to challenge for the Champions League, to put in an extra mile for the Champions League, for the Premier League? Because they don't know what it means to be winners at the end of the day. They don't know how it feels like. So that's a culture you build. At Arsenal right now, it's about culture. It's not about we don't have the players. Look at the players we have, and compared to any other team, especially this season, it's only City who's better than us. But there are times when teams have won the league over City, like Liverpool, Leicester, and other teams that are way more powerful than City. It all comes back to the culture, the willpower. How much do we want it as Arsenal? But when we give away small trophies, we don't build that culture of we must get everything that falls on our laps. Then there's no win in the league, there's no win in the Champions League, because we used to give in excuses. We've become a team of excuses.
Isaac, what your thoughts on that? Do we take all the cup competition serious? And at the end of the season, you're thinking, in actual fact, we're not going to win any trophies because we didn't take all the other competitions serious. Is that what Arteta's trying to do? Tailor his teams just to go hard and fast in the Premier League, if not the Premier League, the Champions League, but thinking about the FA Cup and Carabao Cup?
Every competition should mean business. At the end of the day, I told you I have very bad friends. They were saying, at the end of the day, we've played so good, but the only thing we are going to lift is our hands. We've had a great season, but a trophyless season. Liverpool are finishing below us, but have the Carabao Cup.
Yep.
Last season, United finished way below us. They had the Carabao Cup. So City took the Premier League and the FA Cup. It's also likely they'll take the Premier League and the FA Cup this season. Just minus the Champions League, which they took last season, that is. So everything should mean business. And he has shown us he has potential, that is Arteta. and I give him benefit of a doubt. Have have your squad depth as much as you need. Quality is squad depth, not just squad depth. You could have squad depth, but no quality in it. So he has his quality squad depth, and he's competing with Man City in his squad depth. I expect him to take everything seriously, very very seriously. Uh, One friend of mine who's an Arsenal fan told me this: when City went out of the Champions League, he told me the Premier League is gone. That is what he told me. And I asked why. And he told me it would have been way better if City were in the Champions League until the later stages. Reason being, they'll have more games to play, they'll have to concentrate, they'll have to split their concentration in both the Champions League and the Premier League. But with them going out of the Champions League, he said it's done. It's done. No way. There's no way Guardiola is gonna let go of the Premier League because he knows definitely is now out of the Champions League and he wants major honors. If he can't get the Champions League, then he'll go for the Premier League because for him, the FA Cup is a bonus. He will not be satisfied with the FA Cup, but he
But,
will go for the Premier League first. Yes,
but,
brother Alex.
but brother Isaac, do you really believe that? The fact that they got knocked out of the Champions League kind of gave them more energy to focus on the Premier League? Because I'm looking at them over the last 3 or 4 seasons. All the players, not one single player, plays more than 38 games in the Premier League. So he knows the art of rotation. He knows how to not burn out the players. Whereas on the other hand, you look at Mikel Arteta, Bukayo Saka, we said it for the last 2 seasons, he's played how many games this season and last season? But Guardiola knows the art of rotating his team. So I don't know whether I agree with that element that, the fact that they're out of the Champions League, they can focus more on the Premier League. I don't know whether I agree with that.
Sure, he does know how to rotate his teams, but there are players in his team who have played majority of his games, like Rodrigo is played in majority of his games. That is because of his main man, and you have Foden, who's carried them throughout. There are players that he will consistently pick, but the other areas where he's rotating, and he knows how to do that. The where Arteta has not really found it, or is not one of his strong qualities in having the rotations. Rotation is one thing, and also having less fixtures is something else that might have contributed in some way. It is not entirely on less fixtures, but is a factor that contributes to him being more focused on the Premier League. And I am hoping, because you see, and we were discussing when like Pep lost Mahrez, and he was kind of short in that area,
And Gundogan as well.
and Gundogan,
Gundogan, yeah.
he went in for Doku.
Yeah.
He went in for Doku, and someone told me, believe me, Doku is not a long-term plan. Doku is a short-term plan because because he realized he is short in that area.
Mm.
Because you look at the quality of Doku, is not Mahrez's quality. He said he will keep Doku for a while, but when he gets the right player, he will let him go. But in some areas for us, we have not strength. That is, for instance, Saka. Saka has played majority of games
Yeah.
last season and this season. Another area is Saliba. Saliba has played more games this season than any other Arsenal player. And
It,
if he went out, it will be something, it will be catastrophic like last season. We went downhill. And majority of other fan bases, because we've not had the many injuries like Man City or Chelsea. And they are saying if we had injuries like City, or not City, like Man U, if we had injuries like United and Chelsea, they don't know where we will have been.
oh, Prosper, I'm going to ask you a very quick question whilst
Yeah.
talk out. So actually yesterday, did you see the game yesterday?
I watched the first half,
Right.
and I was like, I'm not gonna lose with everyone. In the second half, I left because I knew second half was going to be a different Man City.
Yeah.
Um, in all respects, I never thought I would say this in my life, but Tottenham put up a good fight. Tottenham put up a good fight yesterday, and the first half shown that they were not that precise at the last half of the pitch, where they would have been a bit calm and a bit slow. They wanted to rush things, but they would have probably scored against City earlier than City would have scored from them, because it was an open game. Both teams were going back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, but when I just saw somebody sent me a text on WhatsApp before I dozed, I was doing other things on the internet, but somebody just said Haaland has scored. I was like, exactly why you need a center forward. When something is just so tough to crack, that natural ability of a player comes into play. And you may play Haaland down. No, but we have Kai. He has done this and that and that. But it's exactly games like yesterday where you need to show up. It's a game. It's got pressure. It's got
Yeah.
everything is on that game. Then you need a big guy to step up, a big signing to step up.
Yeah.
And that's why Kai didn't show up on the big games. He never showed up. He will score against the small teams and do everything against the small teams. But the big teams, he's numb. He's lost.
So guys, on Sunday, these are the two fixtures that matter most. Arsenal playing at Everton and Man City playing against West Ham. Do you think it's a foregone conclusion that that Man City will be winning their fourth Premier League title in a row? Prosper, do you think it's done? It's finished. It's over.
Look here, canon for the family. We have some wishful thinkers in football, and we have realists. I called this out in February. I called it out a long time ago. A long time ago. I was like, as long as you put City ahead of you, you don't have a chance. Why? Because they're experienced. They've done this over and over again. We've seen them do it over and over again. Once they go on top, your chances of them goofing or making a mistake are very slim. You know. So when we call it out, and then everybody will go like, "But you're not Arsenal fans. You know what?" But you have to be realistic in football. You have to know the strengths of your opponent. If you have to beat Isaac, at what he does best. I have to know where, what makes him strong, so that I improve on those things. And if I know, okay, if I give Isaac a head start in a 100 meters race, he's a faster sprinter than me. He's going,
Mm,
I'm not catching him. Or maybe in a marathon, I'm not catching him. So I better be ahead of him. So every time he's looking, it's like, okay, I cannot catch that guy. Even that psychological part of it will be like, okay, guys, we've won this so many times. Let's let Arsenal win it. But when you give it to them on top, they're like, okay, they're handing it to us on the silver plate. Let's get it.
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
see Man City goofing because all they need on that game is a draw, isn't it? How
The,
many
the, thing,
points? What's the
the, the,
points
thing,
difference?
the thing is, Prosper, you're saying, and I've said,
They have to win.
Yeah, but
They have to
still,
win. We have
you
a
look
goal
at West
difference
Ham.
of +1.
Yeah, you look at West Ham, and the goal difference now is very minimal. Huh? They've really clocked it down. I think I saw the goal difference before the show started. I think we're only the goal difference is
Ours
now. Is it two?
61, Man City 60.
We are
1.
on 6-1.
by one.
Yeah, it's only one. So you see
Yeah.
how they've narrowed everything down. But if you look at the West Ham game, you already know these guys are going to bury this game in the first 10 minutes. Believe me, there'll be a go up. And West Ham will have nothing to fight for. You know? Yeah. So,
I,
like Isaac was saying, I didn't. Isaac mentioned a few points why we felt the league. I concur with him when he talked about team depth. But again, I will also disagree because I like to compare things qualitatively. If you look at Aston Villa and you look at Arsenal, quality for quality, even on the bench, we've got better players. But if you look at what Aston Villa has achieved this season, it's almost the same as Arsenal. They're in Champions. First time they've played in the Champions League, you know,
yeah.
we're also playing the Champions. They have no trophy. We have no trophy. There's no difference from the second team to the fourth team. There's no difference. If you look at quality for quality, I think there's a lot Ateta has to do and has to take a lot of blame because there's no way a player like Emil Smith Rowe of Emil Smith Rowe's quality, because when Emil Smith Rowe was hot before the injuries and everything, he was much valuable to Arsenal than Saka at some point.
Yeah.
And then you let that talent rot on the bench. You go and buy the Vieiras, you give them game time, yet you leave Emil. There's no way if I'm a manager of Arsenal, I'm going to leave Emil Smith Rowe on the bench. I'm going to play Vieira. That's a big gap in quality, a very big gap in quality. I'm more assured of possession and everything when Emil Smith Rowe is in the pitch than Vieira. You see what I'm saying? But he goes to buy Vieira, puts him there, doesn't play Emil Smith Rowe. So you look at those things and you start thinking, this is more than football. This is more than performance. It's a personal thing. There's some issue that we don't know, which players usually talk about when they leave the club. And we will know these things, they'll come out.
Mm.
Because there's no way you can let a player like Emil Smith Rowe just go to West. And then you go and buy the Jorginhos and I mean, these guys are already old. Yet you have the raw talent with you. You don't improve anything. That's why you have managers like if you've watched how Kamavinga was playing before Ancelotti and how his game has improved, if you watched how Wenger carried on young players, even Unai, all these Sakas, the small ones, how he brought them into the game, you would really value that it's not all the time that you have to pay out money. Sometimes you have to build some of the local talent. That brings in that morale, that belief that if I'm an Arsenal blood, I'll have a chance. But what Arteta is killing right there at Arsenal, all he's saying is he does not trust loyalty. Because honestly speaking, Emil Smith Rowe and Eddie Nketiah have been loyal to the club. Even is it Rhys Nelson? Is it Nelson?
Reece Nelson. Yeah.
Yes, those guys have been loyal. Honestly, Nelson is a talent, you know. And I was just yesterday after the before the Man City at halftime of the Man City game, I was telling my cousin, I was telling him, if I were Eddie Nketiah, Emil Smith, or Rhys Nelson, I would go to Unai because they are playing in the Champions League. I would really push a transfer to Aston Villa because they are guaranteed of game time there. And definitely they will shine because that manager knows them, you know?
But
So the same
Prosper, you just said, loyalty doesn't count for anything. Doesn't count for
at
anything.
Arsenal. At Arsenal.
Doesn't count for
Because
anything.
it seems the guys that have come in because of the money from other rival teams have more respect at Arsenal, more love. People chant more of Kai Havertz than they chant of players who are homegrown. They would rather see them out, but never promoting the homegrown players. I've never
Mhm.
seen people rally for Eddie Nketiah or Emil Smith like they've done for Kai this season. Never. Or any other Arsenal player. Never. You see? But you have to look at these players that have come in for money. They are loyal to the check. Anytime something pops up out somewhere else, they will go. But the Eddies and the Emil Smith Rowe have sat on the bench hoping to play for the team they love. And then you let them rot. You go and buy all the players you could buy. Who's that? Who's that? Lukonga and everyone were bought in. So Marquinhos from Brazil, as Isaac was saying,
Mhm.
Marquinhos was a good player, honestly speaking, for me. If he was given the chance to play some games, by now we would have Saka's deputy. But what did he
Yeah.
do? You buy a player, a very good player for me. I watched him 2, 3 games. I was like, this is a good player. He brings in
Mhm.
another dimension of soccer, different from Saka. He's more direct. Saka likes to play a bit, dragging the defense to get organized. Marquinhos was more direct to go when the defense is disorganized. Then he sent him on loan, and now we don't know where Marquinhos is. We don't know what's happening to him. It's a dead story, you see. But you have to build some players by yourself. Don't send them to loan because they have to know the system of the club. They have to know. They have to come in pressure games, and you have to tell them, guys, you're gonna hold us up in this game. You see, I'll give an example of Kobe Maino at Manchester United. If he was sitting on bench, would he have improved his confidence, his game? No. You see, but you have to play in the tough games. You have to be called up. That builds confidence, which Arteta is not doing. So for depth, I think he's got himself to blame because when the check is given to him, he's not signing the right players. Most of his players, the players he's spent money on are flops. Again, he's wasted the raw talent that we've had and he's sold most of the young, promising players that we had at the club. And you would wonder, how is he selling this guy and bringing Lukonga? I thought this guy is at least better than Lukonga. He's still young. 2, 3 years, he would be a better player. You see, but that's Ateta. As long as you're not my player,
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
Unai's player,
Yeah.
go out. You
Yeah.
see? So
Yeah.
I do not see Martinelli staying at the club for long, just because he's Unai's boy. He's also going.
Wow. 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 But you know what, Prosper? You
Mm,
speak about Emma Smith Rowe. You speak about Reece Nelson. You speak
mm,
about Eddie Nketiah. If
mm,
they also have their own responsibility to have a career in football, not
mhm.
necessarily with Arsenal. So if you
Yeah.
can see the writings on the wall that the manager doesn't trust you, surely
Mhm.
just force a transfer away from Arsenal. But all these players like to hold on for the hope. Maybe the manager will choose me. Maybe he won't. But I'm part of the academy. Leave the club. Leave
No,
the
but
club.
yeah, but what I think it's more than them wanting to go away because I think the price tag that Ateta puts on them is a bit exorbitant.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Prosper,
For other
players
teams
want to
to keep
play.
them.
Players want to play. They don't want to be stuck on the
Exactly.
bench.
Exactly. I think Ateta has been also there's this English players in the club. I think that's why he keeps Eddie and Emil Smith Rowe. Just to have that number of English players, not that he's going to use them. I think that's why he keeps them because I don't see any other reason if you're not going to play a player even 5 games in a whole season. There's a lot
Yeah.
of caps in the season. You can't even play them 5 games starting on the lineup. And then there's this issue of Jesus. Uh, what's his name again? Jesus. You know, I was thinking just before this discussion, before the show, I was like, okay, if I was Arsenal manager, I know Jesus is not a marksman. He's not a prolific striker,
Yeah.
but he's the guy who pulls the defenders. Why don't I switch up a formation and bring in a prolific center forward and play Jesus as a second striker? We played that football with Wenger for the longest time. We would have one prolific center forward and Dennis Beckham behind him, the skill guy who would pull everyone and then just make that flawless pass for the other guy to finish. You know, why not use Jesus as second striker? Switch up that formation where he can go in as an attacking midfielder sometimes and play as a second striker, you know, and just bring in a proper center forward. Because again, even if you let go of Jesus, you will find that there's no other players on the market of his caliber. So sometimes some games you need players of his caliber who can pull out something from nothing, get a foul, get a penalty, get that raw football skill, Botat skill in his feet. He has it. And you can't compare him with most of the players in the Premier League at the top of the pitch, you know? So
But
sometimes just let go of players isn't good.
mhm. But the thing is with just Gabriel Jesus, when he came into Arsenal, he was like the marquee signing, the savior to score the goals and etc. But you notice now he's down, he's gone down the pecking order. He's suffered injuries over the course of his Arsenal career. I know he's still in the Brazilian squad, but he's no longer that number one marquee signing anymore. And I think maybe at some stage he might become frustrated and he might want to leave Arsenal, Isaac.
Yeah, I mean, that's Ateta's solution. If you can't find an answer for you, it's amazing. Again, I'll go back to Ateta because all this comes back to Ateta. Every time on the group, I would mention these questions. I would bring up these questions. Why has Ateta signed Kai Havertz? Why has Ateta signed Gabriel Jesus? Because the previous season, before Gabriel Jesus came, we were lacking in goal scoring. And if you looked at Gabriel Jesus' tally at Man City, you would see that this guy is not a goal scorer.
Yeah.
You need a goal scorer. Why go buy a player who doesn't score goals? You see? So when I question Ateta, I question on facts. You need a certain kind of player, center forward. You go and buy Kai Havertz. How many goals was Kai Havertz putting in at Chelsea per season? Or wherever he came from, even in Germany, how many was he putting in per season? You see, then you switch up the whole team to play according to Kai Havertz, which you didn't do for Jesus or any other Arsenal player. You see, you switch up your whole system for Kai. And then when you come up second, you say, no, it's this and that. I mean, it's all down to us. We can't blame anyone. We're doing everything wrong, you know?
Yeah.
How many times have we said we need prolific strikers? You know, defenders should shake. I'm going to face Prosper today. I'm going to face Isaac today. A defender should shake. You know, if you've played football before, sometimes you go in the pitch, you feel the coldness in your feet. You wouldn't feel your feet because you know, I'm up for it today, you know?
Yeah.
But when a defender is coming in, as long as I mark Odegaard, as long as the midfielders do their job, this guy is not a threat. Then that's what you get, 15 goals per season or 17 or 16 goals, and you're celebrating. Other strikers in other teams are hitting 20 above, but we're celebrating 17 goals. We're very happy. And you're like, okay, this is what Arsenal has become. You see? So for me, it's all on Ateta. I hope he doesn't make these mistakes again, this transfer, because I already see him getting too excited about left back, other positions. Those are not our key positions, as Isaac was saying. We've got 10 positions that really need manpower. So we really need to replace to put in those positions to put in those numbers and that quality. Then we can start looking at, okay, where can we improve if you still haven't broken that financial fair play mark? Where can we improve on apart from these positions. You see, but you haven't done the difficult positions, and then you're rushing for the positions that are okay.
Let me tell you something before I go to Isaac, brother Prosper. If you want to know what next season's gonna look like, just look at the last 2 seasons. Nothing much is going to
I
change.
know already, but I'm just bringing
And
it up to
do you know the reason why?
the
Because
fans.
there's no pressure from the top.
Exactly,
There's no pressure
exactly.
there. There's no pressure there.
It's
But
all a ripple action from up there to down.
yeah. Isaac, you've been very quiet, brother man.
I've been listening and taking notes.
Bring the fire, man. Bring the fire.
Fire to some point. I'd like to bring in now the voice of reason.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, I say Ateta has gotten some things right, and others are wrong, and every manager gets some things wrong. It's not only
Exactly.
Ateta who gets things wrong. And remember before Jesus, we wanted Vlahovic, and he said no. So he went for his second option, who was Jesus. In the midfield, he also wanted, I've forgotten his name, but he also said no and went to Juventus.
But was it Alexander Isak available at that time?
He was, yes, he was. I said perhaps it's because of his injury record, but I don't know why. I don't know the reason as to why he didn't go for Alexander Isak. For Havertz, he did not sign Havertz as a striker. He signed him as a midfielder. But when it didn't work, that is after they went to Dubai, he realized he can play as a false nine. But ideally, he was brought in as a midfielder. And to be precise, as Xhaka's replacement. Because we got
Yeah.
Rice as Partey's replacement. But it didn't work for Havertz. But he pushed him further forward, and it worked for him. He wanted Mudryk. He didn't get Mudryk. He went for Trossard. And I'm grateful we dodged that bullet.
The voice of reason. Yes.
I wanted Caicedo. Didn't get Caicedo. And then settled for Rice. This season, who's done better? Or who's been consistent? Rice has been consistent. Caicedo has been in shambles. And Caicedo is playing alongside Enzo, who's also 100 million plus. You put Rice next to a player of 100 million, and boom, that midfield is rock solid. And I think perhaps that is why he wants to. I've been hearing reports and rumors that the midfield is one of his key areas, and he's been scouting Zubamendi, and it might be one to look up and see what happens. Where else? He wanted the Martinez guy who was at United, the defender. He didn't get him. Went in for Zichenko. And unfortunately, Martinez has been having or has had injuries reoccurring now and again. I don't know if it's a bullet he dodged, or I don't know if it is our secret agent that we sent to United. Do you know we have a secret agent at United? And the agent is the team doctor. If I give you the pattern, over the years when we had injury crisis and injuries were reoccurring, we had the same doctor that United has now. But after he went to United and we got a different doctor from PSG who was doing wonders at PSG, by the way, players recovered. I thank God that we are not facing or we're not having major injury crisis. And so I want
Did,
Arteta to learn.
did he not want
Sure, go ahead.
did he not go in did he not want is it Rafinha who played at Leeds and then now he's gone to Barcelona? Did we go in for him as well? Rafinha?
Yes, but Rafinha said no. He wants Barca.
Yeah.
But I think he did not have then a second option for Rafinha.
Right.
Because if he had, he'll have brought him. But then he said, well, we can survive with Saka. And perhaps because Trossard plays left and right, he can play there. Jesus can play there. You have Fabio Vieira, who can also play there. But I think for Fabio Vieira, for him to play in this team, he needs a huge, and I mean huge, improvement for him to get into this team. I don't see him sitting down Saka anytime soon. For him to play, he needs to to work extra hard. Because for Martinelli went an extra step and brought in his own or his personal coach. He had a personal coach when he came in. And then he employed a personal nutritionist. That shows you he was serious and he wanted to improve. I haven't seen or heard anything of that sort on Vieira's camp. Because for me, he looks weak, but he has quality in him. I know he has quality, but he looks weak. He can only play in a Burnley side that is not playing in the Premier League, but that is playing in the Championship.
Wow.
As it is. Because he has quality, and Burnley have quality. At the moment, they play attacking football, but they can only play that football in the Championship and survive, not in the Premier League. In the Premier League, it is tough. You have baptism of fire. Left, right. You get a Fulham side who are rock solid and they beat you. You get a West Ham side who have their wingers high, they beat you. You have an Aston Villa side who have their wingers high and they have a double on you. You have got to have quality. If you look at what I envy Pep, and I'll give an example of Pep. He had Mahrez and Foden. And you cannot compare that to Saka and Fabio. Foden you can compare with Saka and Mahrez. Those two you can have them in the same bracket. But Fabio is miles apart.
Yeah.
You have got to look for someone who's of quality and have that depth. Arteta right now cannot brag or has no bragging rights on squad depth. Because you say you have squad depth, and then we ask you, what is the quality in that depth in your bench? There are probably a few who are up to par, but the rest you have to replace because that is what City have. City did not need a left back, but they went for Gavadio, 75 million for a left back. I believe that might be the highest in the Premier League for a left back. Because for the centre back we have Maguire. It's 5 million. And I really want, I would really want where you have Saliba sitting out, and you have someone of his quality in the team. And I saw we are tracking an 18-year-old from Ajax to play centre back. That is Saliba's backup. And if that's true, then that is progress.
Mm.
And then again, our game versus United, guess who was in attendance? Benjamin Sesko's agent was in attendance. Do we need a Benjamin Sesko? Because he's a striker.
Mm.
And Leverkusen have to offload. They have to. That is one thing that is for sure. They have to. And for them to offload, of course they have so many players. They have so many good players at the moment. They have to offload so that they'll be able to reinvest in their squad. Are we in for Benjamin Sesko? I don't know. But I hear rumors we are in for Victor Goakres. That is the from Sporting Lisbon.
Oh. Robert Isaac, here's actually a question for both you and Prosper. Do you think at some point that the players might get a little bit frustrated? So last season, unexpectedly, became very, very close. This season became very, very close. But coming close doesn't count for anything. So do you think at some stage the players might start to get itchy feet and say, do you know what, maybe this is as good as it's going to get at Arsenal, and maybe I need to get a transfer to a bigger club where I'm probably more guaranteed to win major silverware, Prosper?
Exactly. I've raised this point over and over again on the group discussion. And it's frustrating that we keep making the same mistakes, recurring problems, I would call them. Mm, just to drag it back a bit on Isaac's point, Isaac was talking about Fabio Vieira. Fabio Vieira, just to correct Isaac, wasn't bought as a winger to play on Saka's. He was bought as an attacking midfielder. He's an attacking midfielder as Odegaard's deputy. But because he's too slow and he's not football intelligent, he can't make that intelligent pass. So he was tried on Zaka's position as center midfield, which didn't work out. Then now he's fitted in wherever he can fit in if there's need for, because we don't have that depth up front, if there's need for a player. So for the wing, he can't work out as Isaac was saying because he's an attacking midfielder. He's slow. His pace is slow. He can't bench Odegaard because he's not that football intelligent. He's not sharp. Now, talking about frustration, I've talked about this thing over and over again from the start of the season. When you have quality like Saka, Odegaard, Saliba in your team, just Rice in your team, English players, I know they get stuck to the English Premier League. They don't want to go out abroad and everything. But if Real Madrid comes calling for Saliba, there's no way Saliba is playing the loyalty game, especially after how we treated him at the beginning of Arteta's tenure. He was really outcast by Arteta. Then when he saw him play for France, then he was like, oh, he's a good player. Bring him back, let's play him. You see? So now if Real Madrid comes calling, you are guaranteed if you stay there 2 seasons, you're going to lift something big. You see? If they come calling, those players are not saying no. I don't know about Saka and Rice because they're English players. English players get stuck to England, but players from elsewhere, like Trossard, there's no way he's going to play a loyalty game when a big club comes calling. Because at the end of the day, a player wants to look back in his years and says, I've got a medal for this, I've got a medal for that, I've got a medal for that. Not I played for Arsenal or to become another another King, Harry Kane. I played so many games in the Premier League and scored so many goals. What have you got to show for it? Nothing. You see, so frustration also comes in when you're a young player. Like your pal probably left for another club, has lifted the Europa Champions League, what. Probably the Sakas, they hang around with the Bellinghams. Their friends are showing them, I've got this, I've got that, I've got that. Just in the short time I've been at Madrid. And you've been at Arsenal, you've been the star. How many years? You have nothing to show for it. So that hurts. So we're going to lose that talent. So this process is going to go on another 20 years. That's why I say, when does the process end? Because you can't hold on to quality and you can't sign quality. That's where Ateta is having a problem, a nightmare. Now we're spending so much money on low quality because we can't bring in quality if we don't have anything to attract them with. I mean, City is putting up 50 million pounds. Arsenal is putting up 50 million pounds. Madrid is putting up 50 million pounds. Liverpool is putting up 50 million pounds. Where does the player go? Arsenal is the last option you have. You see? Because you'll be like, okay, what are the probabilities of me lifting the EPL here? Second to none. What are the probabilities of me lifting the Champions League? Second to none. That's why you find players going to Chelsea. Even if Chelsea has done bad this season, but come next season, even the other season they did badly, but they won the Champions League. And you're like, they go to finals of cups. Even right now, Manchester United is in the final of a cup, and football being what it is, they might just win that cup game, even though they've played badly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You see? Yeah. So when players sign for teams like those, they don't just sign for the sake of, I'm going there for the money. They know this team can flip within a transfer season and it's winning trophies. But at Arsenal, we are still building a process with no ends to the process, no goals, So that's where we are. So we'll lose those players. We'll lose them. Definitely.
Yeah. Let me go into the live chat and I'll let Isaac have the last say. So Guna John says Spurs were never winning that game and some of their fans are embarrassing. Well, I've got to say, John, in that response, the fact that Prosper said it himself, that we shouldn't be asking teams like Tottenham to beat Man City. All we have to do is our job. Win the games. So we don't have to ask favors of other clubs. So I understand what you're saying, that actually, and Postecoglou was, I think he had like an exchange with a Tottenham fan because they were cheering on Man City because they don't want Arsenal to win the league. But I think we can also be embarrassing as well, always making excuses. He goes on to say, nothing's done until the last ball is kicked, but realistically, we have blown it, Isaac. We have blown it.
Okay. No, we haven't. I wouldn't say we have blown it. But last season, we blew it. Last season, with our 3 draws in a row, I would.
Yeah.
For last season, I would have excused the draw at Anfield. But the Southampton and West Ham draws, no excuse for that. This season, we haven't blown it per se. Because look at it. The second part of the season, since Dubai, how many games have we lost? 1. Only 1. Aston Villa. And drawn how many? 1. Drawn 1, lost 1. We haven't blown it. We have performed better in this second part of the season than we did last season.
Okay, let me go back in the live chat. John says we have made it to the dinner table twice, but been fed with crumbs.
Mhm.
And what else?
Yeah,
Go on, Prosper. Do you want to respond to that?
yeah. As Isaac was saying, I would choose to disagree with him because the season is not only one half of the season. Whatever you do, even in the transfer, matters. When you go to January, you know your weaknesses. Then you say we're not buying a striker, a center forward. All that comes back to haunt us at the end of the day. All the decisions in the first half, these experiments he was doing with Kai Havertz, Pate, they cost us games, they cost us points. Because had we had even a 6 points head gap going into the second half and the way we've played in the second half, we would have been champions by now. You see? But those small mistakes accumulated to where we are right now. And there were very narrow ones whereby he had the selection, but he puts Pate at, is it right back? And then you wonder. He's one of the best defending midfielders in the world. You move him for whatever reasons, you put him at right back. And then 15 minutes into a game or so, they score because there's a gap there. And then we fail to win that game. It's one of those games where I think we drew or we lost, but we gave away cheap points in the first half of the season. Then we got serious in the second half. But when you know your opponent is strong, as I was saying at the start of the show, you don't give them that chance for them to have belief and to come at you. They will come at you. Widen the gap as much as you can. When they're trying to come at you, they'll fail because it will reach a point where you have 3 games and mathematically they won't catch up with you. You see?
Isaac,
So I'd like to say,
are you saying, Isaac, are you saying we haven't blown it because mathematically, because there's still one game to go? Is that why you're saying we haven't blown it? Or
I'm saying we haven't, we have not blown it. Okay, or others will say, blown it is a softer way of saying we have bottled it. That is what others will say, that we have bottled it. And I wouldn't say we have bottled it, because you look at the way he is played, the way the game has improved. It has, for sure, it has. The team has improved from last season, for sure, it has. But where he went wrong is the first half of the season. This season, his first half of the season has not been great as his first half of last season.
Exactly.
Last season he had a great first half of the season, and then for the second half was not a good one. But for this season, he's had a better second part of the season than the first season. So I'm thinking he learned from last season that you have to be better in your second season. And I want to believe we will learn it from this season, that you have to be better in first half and
And
the second half.
no complacency.
Yes, he has to learn that. Last season he had mistakes in his second part. This season he has had mistakes in his first part. So I want to believe he is learning from that and combine that and have a good first part and a good second part. Because I don't believe he's going to do those experiments again next season, because he is learned. But surely that we have blown it, no, we haven't. Look at it last season. How many games before City won? City lost their last league game to Brentford, but they had already won the title. But this season, it is the final game to decide. Have we blown it? No, we haven't. If the final game is deciding, we haven't. We haven't blown it. That is from me. But I believe the others who feel we have blown it because they are disappointed that we've had the better second part of the season, which they also wish was a duplicate in the first half of the season.
Prosper, you want to come back? Do you want to respond to that before we go into the live chat
Yeah,
again?
I understand from the point where Isaac is talking from, but City has been consistent. And as I keep on repeating this, you have to study your opponent. City always in the first half of the season lags behind. It will lag behind. So you know your opponents in the first half of the season are going to lag behind. Collect, accumulate as many points as you can. So that when it reaches the second half of the season, when they are serious and you're also serious, they don't catch up. That's why we've blown it. Because we were leading and we had all the chances to lead City by far, but we were playing experiments. You see, and I've been consistent from February. I said we've messed it up now, because you can't have 6 points with City and feel comfortable, because some games are just tough. You can't win all games. Some games you drop points. But when you widen the gap that well, especially in the second half where City is strong, I don't believe they've lost a game in the second half, have they?
I don't believe so.
They haven't
I
lost
don't
a
believe
game.
so.
That's Man City. Even the other season, they were at some point, I think they were 15th in the first half of the season. Then they came and won the league on us. You see? So this is what I'm talking about. So you know your opponent in the first half of the season, they're going to drag, they collect as many points as you can, especially if your depth is not as good. Because at the second half of the season, you have injuries, you have fatigue and everything. So when you have that good gap, you have that cushion to not play Navy games against Aston Villa, because I think even Naves came in to play on some games whereby it's just important that we have to stay on top. You see? And not letting, so we're playing cautious whilst our friends are going all out and winning games. You see? So it's just one of those things. But I'm hoping next season, because we've got a lot of points where we can say we've improved. But again, it's the recurring problems that are killing Arteta. As Isaac has said, the recurring problems are the biggest Arteta problems, whereby you go 3 seasons, a big club in Europe, not just in England, not in domestic football, but one of the top 10 clubs. I think to Arsenal must be financially, it must be amongst the top 5 or top 10 in Europe. Club, you go 3 seasons without buying natural centre forwards, without having a backup defending midfielder. Rice is not a defending midfielder. He cannot fit in for Partey. He's a center midfielder. You see? But just because he's good, he's filling in that gap, but he's not supposed to do that job. He's a center midfielder like Arteta was, like who this was? The guy from Spain, Cazorla, who would play with 2 feet. Like Cazorla was, like Rosicky was. You see? He's a center midfielder. He's the guy between the attacking midfielder and the defending midfielder. But we've needed a defending midfielder for 3 seasons. And honestly, top level management with all those supporting coaches, nobody can bring it up and say, guys, we are a big team. We need 2 center forwards, very good center forwards. One should be on the bench, the other one should be on the pitch. Who can get us guaranteed? Both of them should be getting about 15 goals per season. You see, we need a defending midfielder to back up.
Allow me to interject.
Yeah, very quickly, Isaac. Go. Go on.
Okay. Center forward. Something tells me he will sign a center forward because he has learned his lesson.
Yes.
Midfielder. He will bring in a midfielder. And we might be surprised to see Onana or Zubamendi. But it's like someone does not want me to mention the names, and then they mess up with my internet, because when I mention names, I kind of get lost. It's like Arteta or Edu is doing something to my internet because I'm spilling their secrets. But I'm sure, what I'm almost certain, he'll bring in a center forward. And to bring in a center forward, you had rumors of Jesus leaving. We have a saying in Swahili which says lisemwalo lipo na kama halipo laja. I'll translate that for Brother Alex.
Yeah.
That whatever he said is there. And if it is not there, it is coming.
Okay.
That is the saying
Okay.
in Swahili.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
About Jesus leaving, he might be leaving, but maybe someone leaked that. And we know Ateta is not a fan of leaking information.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He will hang you out to dry. He will not give you game time, and he will surely sell you. He will let you go. If Jesus, it was said Jesus is leaving, we have to be looking at that. He is leaving. And the other news of Zinchenko leaving, he might be leaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he will look for another left back. Someone else will be leaving for sure. Tierney will be leaving.
Yeah.
The moment he complained he does not have game time, he's out of the plan.
Yeah.
You complain, you are out. For Ateta, you complain, you are out. You are gone. I don't think Tierney will come back. So Tierney, Zinchenko, Jesus, probably Lokonga for another loan.
Cedric
But
Suarez.
Marquinhos, Cedric Suarez, Marquinhos,
Mm-hmm.
El Neni,
Oh yeah. Yep.
Pate, if Saudi comes in. The other day, Edu was in Saudi. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't
Edu
see
was
that.
in Saudi.
Mm.
Edu was in Saudi, and something interesting. They were trying to mask it, that he was trying to get a feel of the Saudi league, or to get to know the owners of Saudi league. That is exactly what the Chelsea manager did. He went to Saudi, negotiated with the Saudi league owners, and then they came in and they did what we call, in my country, you call it wash. Wash is where you wash is where you get money in some scrupulous ways. And I'll say their scrupulous ways was Mendy for 50, no. Mendy for 50 million, no. And then there was this defender. He also went for 50. Koulibaly. You're still on the wash thing. Koulibaly 50, no, that is wash. So Edu is also new as a sporting director.
Yeah.
And is trying to do what other great sporting directors have done. And perhaps we might see a few outgoings to Saudi, and maybe perhaps a few to Turkey, because for El Neni, he might be going to Turkey, because the Turkey league has been monitoring El Neni for the longest time. You remember last time, is it Besiktas wanted him, but we gave him a new contract.
Yeah.
He might eventually go to Besiktas or maybe Galatasaray, but we have like 7 or 8 players who could go.
The club.
Do we have the money to spend? Yes. Why? Us getting to the semi-finals, I hear we have 79 million. That is money. I want to believe this season we have had so many or high attendance than last season. So profits for this season compared to last season. Another thing, we are also in the Champions League this season. So that is more money to spend. And another reason, offload. If you're flawed, then your FFP will balance.
Okay.
For those players that I've been mentioning, will balance, and then you will be able to spend. And I've had the names of strikers, midfielders, goalkeepers. We forgot of Ramsdale. Ramsdale is surely going. He's not staying.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
And if he's
Yeah.
going, we have a mention of the Ajax goalkeeper, the first choice goalkeeper for Ajax. Will
Yeah,
he
but
be comfortable not having game time? I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I don't think so.
So listen, guys. So I
We
need to read it. I need to read these last 3 comments in the live chat. I need to end the show, but I'm going to be at the Emirates on Sunday streaming live. I need to meet some of the guys who are in the WhatsApp group. So I will be streaming live before the game kicks off. But when I get back home, it looks like I'm going to have to invite Prosper and Isaac back for another show.
Here I am. Send me.
Yeah. There's much to be discussed here.
All right, so let me read these last comments in the live chat because they are mainly focusing on what Isaac said. So firstly, Ashley says, we lost the season when we went 3 games, averaging 70% possession, but could not score because we had Jesus and not a real striker. Then Emerson says, Isaac, if that is the case, we score, then Man City will score 2 or 3 on Sunday, and they will rest a few of the players. Then lastly, he says, Isaac and Suarez are out of contract on the 30th of June, and I think Lokonga will be sold for less than £20 million. Now, I'm not going to give you an opportunity to respond to those, unfortunately, Isaac or Prosper. I do have to end the show. But what I want to do, we're going to make it a hat trick. So on Sunday, when I get back, post-game, we'll get both of you back onto the show and let's see what actually occurred. Oh, my goodness. But anyway,
Yeah.
Prosper, as always, brother, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you.
Thanks. Same here.
Yeah,
I'm humbled to be here.
thank you. And Isaac, you know what came to mind? So when we were doing those shows during the pandemic, 3 live shows a day, that's what kind of came to my mind. We're going to be doing 3 shows this week. Not quite the same amount when we're doing during the pandemic. But brother Isaac, again, for you, it's always a pleasure to have you back on the show. And I'm looking forward to doing the post-game reaction on Sunday. Arsenal versus Everton and Man City versus West Ham. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Gotcha.
So that's it. You will see me on the Easy Talk on Friday. We had a bit of a false start last week, Friday. So I've had to try and rally the troops and say, hey, guys, we're going to be doing the Easy Talk. It'll be maybe the penultimate Easy Talk ever on Cannon Freud TV. But I can't wait to get Isaac and Prosper back on Sunday. I'm saying nothing. But guys, thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. And just remember that this Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.